Mosier Media Podcast.
Good morning and welcome to the Monday Morning Commute here on the Mosier Media Podcast. So glad that you've joined us. And this morning, as always, we have a story. And I was struggling a little bit this morning coming up with what the theme is, what the story is, what we're going to talk about on the Monday Morning Podcast. So I veered off to breakfast. Sometimes on a Monday morning, I get up early, I have a little coffee at home, and I'm just not ready to go to work. Maybe there's a little avoidance. Maybe we're just not ready for the work week. So I like to go to breakfast. And I go to this little place where nobody knows me. Not that I'm anybody. But there are certain breakfast places here in my hometown, beautiful Akron, Ohio, where if you go into breakfast, you better be dressed up. And you better be ready to give the elevator speech, to connect with people. There are a couple of breakfast spots here in Akron where all the movers and shakers go, where all the business happens. And there are a couple of places way off in the country that I like to go where I can just sit there in my shorts and a t-shirt, looking like I just rolled out of bed. And I like that on certain days. So this morning I needed a little inspiration. So I went to one of these breakfast places I like to go to hide from the world, have a good breakfast. And I sit down at the counter. I always like to sit at the counter. There's a fella next to me. And you didn't have to guess what he did for a living because his t-shirt and his pants are covered in paint. And I like to have a little fun and I get a little coffee going and I think I'm entertaining. And I said, well, I'll bet you're in the business of painting. And he says, oh yeah. He said, he starts telling me his life story. I mean, I just ask for it. I just have that thing I do where I want to hear people's life story. And he bought into it. He told me his whole life story right there. He said, I'm not getting along with my boss. And I'm thinking about starting my own painting company, but I don't know how to get the jobs. I don't know how to do the marketing, but I like doing the painting. And I said, well, what's up with your boss? Why aren't you getting along? He said, he does all the quoting and estimating. He goes out and it's supposed to be 50-50, where I get 50% of whatever it is, but I don't get to see the quote. And I don't really know. And then I have to buy all the paint. And I said, well, an employer-employee relationship is just like any other relationship. There's got to be trust and transparency, and you guys got to work together. And if that's not happening, then certainly you need to figure that out. I said, but you want to start a business? I said, I know a guy, does some marketing. He could probably help you out. But I said, but that if you really like painting and you start your own business, that you're going to spend 80% of your time looking for the work. And that's going to be it. Quotes, estimating, people not calling you back after you show them the numbers, 20% of your time doing the work that you love. So I think what's happening here is maybe you don't unnecessarily appreciate or value, understand what he's doing. And I think at the same time, perhaps this person doesn't value you and what you're doing. And so the relationship has a little dysfunction. And I don't know if he wanted a lecture, wanted this much advice, but after I said all that, I paused. And then he started asking me some questions, and I realized, okay, he's into what I'm saying. And I started thinking, this is the topic for the Monday morning commute, because this happens in all of our businesses. And I had the laptop open, and I'm running the morning radio show that we do from the laptop, and he asked me a little bit about what this is. I said, well, I run this simulcast of a morning radio show in Akron, and it runs on this TV station project I have, and I'm telling him all about that. And then I'm reminded that in the radio business, that the folks that go out and sell the ads, they are typically, very common, to be at odds with the voiceover and production people that are producing the ads. And the best example is when a salesperson comes into production at 3 o'clock on a Friday afternoon, and they have a change to an ad or a new ad that the client wants to run that weekend. So it's a special for this weekend. And if you're a voiceover person or you're in production and it's Friday at 3:30 at the radio station, you've been doing voiceovers and commercials all week, you're ready to go. So when a salesperson comes in and says, hey, I have this client, I can get him on the air, I want to run this weekend, can you do this commercial? You got another hour in this. So now you're going to be late for your Friday plans or whatever, you've been there all week, you don't, and now you're angry with the salesperson. Why wouldn't they have just come in on Friday morning? Why does it have to be Friday at 3 o'clock? Well, now the salesperson's upset with production, because they're going to lose the sale. And they've been working on this advertiser for weeks, maybe months, to get them on the air. Now they've got them, and now production doesn't want to do the ad, and that salesperson is not going to make the sale. And what needs to happen in all of our businesses is those that are out there finding the work. have an appreciation for those doing the work. And those doing the work need to figure out how to support and appreciate those that are out finding the work. Because the grass is always greener. And this painter wants to start his own business. But he's wondering, could he do it? And I said, well, you can do it. And I said, like I said, you can have a marketing plan, you have a website. I said, you're a walking business card. All you got to do is walk around. Everybody knows what you do for a living. Either that or, you had an accident at a Sherwin-Williams store. I don't know. But he's clearly a painter. So all he'd have to do is give out a business card. Now, we have studios and offices here that need painted. And I could have said right there, I said, give me your number. I could have hired him right there. And, but I understand he's got a contract with a company and he's working for that person. So obviously you're not going to violate that. But the reality is, the grass is always greener when we think about, could we just be doing the work that we love, and why do we have to build a business, and why do we have to go out and find customers and keep it all going, where's the person doing the work? Do we really appreciate those that are out there finding the work and keeping everybody employed, and the companies that are doing it right, the ones that are the most successful, are the ones that have a culture or an environment where those doing the work really appreciate all that goes into funding, advertising, and marketing and keep it all going. And the people doing the work, all of that, respect their marketers and their salespeople, and they support them. And maybe with a Friday afternoon fix, maybe holding up their personal life just for a second so the salesperson can make the deal. And of course, you keep score a little bit. Then maybe on the flip side, that salesperson remembers that production person bailed them out. Maybe there's something they can do to support them in being flexible with their schedule, or helping them with maybe even just a gift card for a lunch, or a thank you note even. Thank you for staying on a Friday just to help me get this customer on the air. At the end of the day, it's all about, are we behind the operation that we work for, whether we're selling or we're in production? Do we believe in the brand? Do we believe in the whole enterprise? Are we all working together to support each other? That's what it's all about. Let's think about that this week as we build our business. Whether you're in production or you're in sales, or you're like some of us that kind of dabble in both, let's think about what we can do to support each other, to build an environment where we're working together for a common goal. And that goal needs to be make sure the customer's happy. This has been the Monday Morning Commute. I love the feedback, good or bad. I can handle it. Bring it on. That's what it is. You're going to go out there and put yourself out on YouTube and Facebook. Be ready, because it's coming. Thank you, keyboard warriors. You keep me humble. Keep that ego in check. I appreciate it. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. This has been the Monday Morning Commute here on the Mosier Media Podcast.
Mosier Media Podcast.